very much, Mrs. Joseph Lafoucault, for talking on the integrity of the person. We now move on to Article 19 with Mrs. Teresina Sieunarine.
Okay, they can hear. Good afternoon, everyone, good afternoon, Bawani. Thanks to NODES and all those involved in the production of the symposium today. To continue with the articles of the UNCRPD, I will present some information on Article 19, living independently and being included in the community. You'll realize that some articles may only be fully implemented when the legal systems are put in place. However, even when laws are enacted, there can also be abuse of persons with disabilities in the home and in the community. I will be giving you a little action plan towards the end, and I'm so happy the symposium today is bringing about much needed awareness in all sectors of society, and this is crucial for the implementation of the UNCRPD in our country. Paul Tillich, a well-known theologian, said, "No individual exists without participation, and no personal being exists without communal being. Therefore, there is no person without an encounter with other persons. Persons can grow only in the communion of personal encounter. Individualization and participation are interdependent on all levels of being," end quote. The photos you see there show our son Kester. He is an autistic adult, enjoying being outdoors near the seaside and also taking part in a music session at Autism Place. He is also well known in our village, well known in the community, and is valued as a person who is different. He is out of the house every day and chooses where he shops and visits. Article 19 states that the government or state parties to the present convention recognize the equal right of all persons with disabilities to live in the community with choices equal to others. They will help persons with disabilities to enjoy this right, be fully included in, and be fully part of their community. They will ensure that persons with disabilities have the opportunity to choose their place of residence and where and with whom they live on an equal basis with others, and are not obliged to live in a particular living arrangement. Persons with disabilities have access to a range of in-home, residential, and other community support services, including personal assistance necessary to support living and inclusion in the community and to prevent isolation or segregation from the community. Community services and facilities for the general population are available on an equal basis to persons with disabilities and are responsive to their needs. Article 19 includes, therefore, 3 clear requirements. 1, that we recognize the right of people with disabilities to live in the community, to take effective and appropriate measures to facilitate their full enjoyment of that right with choices equal to others. You see the young lady in the amphibious wheelchair at Maracas Beach, the lady enjoying her carnival, and take effective and appropriate measures to facilitate people with disabilities full participation and inclusion in the community. However, as you know, we have a lot of problems, and this is Shada and her group showing how difficult it was to enter a fast food outlet in Port of Spain. There is somebody trying to lift up the wheelchair to take her out onto the pavement and experiencing difficulties. As was mentioned at the beginning, not every disability is visible. An assessment is important if we want to improve the quality and texture of the life of persons with disabilities. We want to enhance the autonomy. Remember, autonomy was mentioned earlier. You want to enhance the autonomy of the individual with the disability. Any planned interventions must be tailored to the specific needs of the person with the disability, and the aim is to improve the quality of life of the person with the disability. So you're trying to improve the texture and the variety of their experiences. As Dr. Cambridge mentioned in an article in August 2014, the diversity of disability poses challenges to the social integration and human rights. The task remains to provide a range of resources to step up the pace of ensuring human rights and entitlement of citizenship for all persons with disabilities. Some aims of independent living, which were mentioned earlier, a lot dealing with accessibility of information, housing, technical aids and equipment, transport and the environment, also peer support, the right to personal assistance, education and employment. What is personal assistance? This would vary according to the severity of the person with the disability. They would choose a personal assistant of their choice to aid them in everyday tasks. We are not looking at the assistance of nurses, social workers, charities, or medical professionals. And this is the sort of action plan here now. To begin implementation, what do we need to do? We need to establish clear guidelines and definitions in consultation with the DPOs, that's the disability organizations, and persons with disabilities. Give appropriate remuneration for persons and groups that provide expertise. This is not happening. We always do things on a volunteer basis. Establish funding support for organizations that provide services. Put mechanisms in place to implement, document, and monitor. Commit to transforming the system from institutional services to community-based services. This was mentioned earlier. Okay, and I just want to show you this newspaper picture. It showed David Badal in January crossing the Beetham Highway. He is using crutches and he has his shopping trolley attached to him. However, just a few days ago, he was killed by a hit-and-run driver. And it is important to know the response of the family and the community, because no one, even in the report, they didn't mention anything about the hit-and-run driver, but the family was saying that, I don't know why he would want to cross the road. And then the police asked, well, they have given him many warnings. Why should he cross the road? What is his purpose? So we have to look at these things seriously. We need to develop a national strategy for transforming the system from institutional placements to community-based services and supports. Review our legislation, policies and practices. Revise the national policy prepared in 2005. Remember, nothing about us without us. Establish mechanisms to enable the participation of civil society, in particular people with disabilities and their families. Review the existing services that they have. And finally, maintain ethical standards, of course, in all that we do. Develop links with experts. Ensure transparency and accountability in the use of public funds. Establish mechanisms for data collection. Establish mechanisms for periodic review of the action plan and national strategy. And I want you now to give a sign that you will help implement Article 19 and some of these articles in the UNCRPD. Sign of solidarity. Join hands with person next to you or give a bounce to person next to you, anything. I want to see a sign of solidarity. So, sign of solidarity. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sieunarine, for reminding us that we are all in it together. So we move on.